It's exciting and nerve-wracking, kind of a bummer, 9 years ago. And it's about $1,000. In that case, you cannot get pregnant. Now let's switch over to my side of what our doctor is thinking. We should have, could have, would have. Now there's 2 more tests that they were talking about doing before we would do a transfer. Here's a story that goes back to our infertility journey 8 years ago. Oh my gosh, okay, I almost forgot a big, huge test that I did already have done. But we have 2 things that we're holding on to hope for. I have to admit to you guys, okay, I feel like there's no way. Let's see if mommy's head is cut off. Oh. Hi friends, welcome back to today's vlog. We have a lot to go over today, so I figured I would just take you along and kind of just give updates on the full schedule we now have ahead of us. And it's exciting and nerve-wracking and unknown. So we just had our first infertility appointment here in Tennessee. Now we needed to start to build that relationship, to have that connection so we can move forward when we're ready. I feel like I need to sit. Okay, I'll just dive into the results that we got at the clinic. So we had done a semen analysis a couple of weeks before our appointment with the doctor. So those results came in and they were below our hope, below our expectations, and kind of a bummer. So the count was 7 million per ml, and they would want that above 20. They didn't tell me the total, complete total with all. They are looking more at the concentration, but total you want at least 40 million, and depending on how many ml of sperm there were would be how many would be total. But even if it was 5 mLs times 7, that's 35 million, and it's still below. So most likely not even that. The bigger kicker and the results that we really were very disheartened by was that the motility was 0. So meaning none of the swimmers were moving, and there's usually a grade, and I could have gone into detail asking him, but there's rapid moving, which has always been an issue for us. Then there's slow moving, and then there is moving in place, and then there's not moving at all. So I didn't ask him what range, but I'm assuming rapid and possibly slow moving were 0 is my guess. And in that case, you cannot get pregnant. When there are no sperm that are moving in a direction, you cannot conceive naturally. And we were really hopeful that if I had been pregnant, that maybe our move, maybe we had some improvement and we could try to conceive. So we've been trying for 3 months when I got my cycle back and before getting my cycle back, but obviously with no moving sperm, you're not going to get pregnant. And it was probably our worst results we've ever had with a semen analysis. But we have 2 things that we're holding on to hope for. First, we still have a healthy embryo that is ready for us, that we can do IVF. And I'm ready for a transfer soon. And I think Philip is soon as well. If we didn't have such a crazy year, we probably would have done it closer to Cassidy's first birthday. But it's been a while. It's been a wild year. If you guys have missed it and you are just hopping over here and saying hi for the first time because we are sharing about infertility, and maybe you're going through infertility and that stinks, or you have a family or friend that might be going through it and you're kind of curious of what does this journey really look like and what are the feelings of the patient, welcome. And it's great for you to be here. We have an awesome community that is made up of people who have gone through infertility, who are going through infertility, or have not gone through infertility at all. And we have a pretty awesome community here that's very supportive and loving of one another. So welcome if you guys are new. So what are the two things that we are holding on to hope for? The second is that we realized, I don't know why we didn't think of this to mention it, but Philip had a 102 fever maybe 6 weeks before he did his sample. And so a fever or being in hot tubs or anything that's warming up the body is not helpful and can very much affect your sperm quality. And we are planning on hopefully doing a video sharing all the things that we can do to protect sperm, because I feel like we are experts at that, because we have learned and figured out which ones work, which ones are kind of like eh. And so hopefully we'll do a video for you on that soon. Yes, baby. So we are hopeful to recheck him once he has been well past that fever, and he was taking baths at the time because he wasn't feeling great and just decided to take a bath. And so there's just a handful of things that probably didn't help. And so we're looking to recheck, but with it being such a poor result, we're not expecting a miracle of all of a sudden it's going to be normal in a few months. However, here's a story that goes back to our infertility journey 8 years ago. Now, you can kick yourself and say, what if, and we should have, could have, would have, but we're past that. And so Philip had seen a urologist when we first started infertility, and he went to the appointment. I was at work and came home of, there's nothing you can do other than IVF. We were broken. I was so upset, and we jumped into trying everything natural and ended up progressing our infertility journey from there. Now, I wonder if I would have been in the appointment if I would have understood it a little bit differently, because we actually went back to the urologist right before we did a retrieval for Cassidy. Okay, so the coulda, shoulda, woulda is in the past, but if I would have been in that first urology appointment, would we have possibly done a varicocele surgery 8 years ago? 9 years ago? 9 years ago. Yeah, so we went and actually saw the same urologist when we were doing our retrieval for our IVF that we conceived Cassidy, and he was saying, well, we probably should have tried the varicocele surgery that I was talking about. And it just, dagger, pit in the stomach of, wait, what? What I was under the impression was that he had varicoceles, but they weren't severe enough to do surgery, or wasn't really hopeful that that was going to necessarily help. And so we didn't do it. And we ended up moving forward with our infertility journey. And so he told us, we were about to transfer with Cassidy, and he said, hey, when you get to Nashville, why don't you go ahead and do the varicocele surgery, and then you have like a year to heal, all the things, and then when you're ready, after Cassidy is born, that, well, we didn't know it was Cassidy, when you are ready again, you can try to conceive naturally. Well, we got here and we got a little busy with a diagnosis we weren't expecting, and it's been a busy year. And now looking back, would it have been great if we did the varicocele surgery when we first got here? Sure. Now let me explain for those of you who are like, wait, what is it? So a varicocele is a varicose vein in your testes, and the issue is that it's going to add that extra blood flow and in turn have extra warmth, and it hurts the sperm. And so it's not a perfect treatment, but it has a pretty darn good success rate. I'll have to look at the actual statistics of what they say it can heal male factor infertility. But at this point, we're thinking, dang, why don't we just try this and let's see if this could have possibly helped us over the years. And so you do the surgery and you recheck 3 months after, because it takes 90 days for sperm to be made until it is released. And we definitely want to see a year later, did it help? And so for now, we are thinking that we're gonna go see a urologist and possibly do an ultrasound and see if that's still necessary and do a varicocele surgery. So I'm talking a lot of male factor infertility this front end, but that is a big hindrance of us trying to conceive naturally. Obviously, with 0 motile sperm, can't be conceiving like that. So that is our male factor side. Now let's switch over to my side of what our doctor is thinking. So the first thing that they are looking to test is, are my tubes open? So they can do this 2 ways. They can do an ultrasound and put up some saline, and they're checking to see if they can see that your tubes are open. They would mostly want to check me for this because of my history with endometriosis. So I'm a little disappointed. We were going to do the test and we had to leave town for a funeral. And when I got back, there was a little miscommunication of playing some phone tag, and by the time I got back, they wouldn't allow us to do the test when we got back. I hadn't ovulated yet, but they want to absolutely make sure that you're not going to ovulate, so it has to be early on in your cycle. And unfortunately, I got an LH surge yesterday, so now I am going to ovulate, and we will be doing it next cycle. So I'm a little bummed with that. Just that's part of infertility, and having to wait month after month, test after test. It takes longer, and feeling like you have to be really proactive for fertility treatments to go quickly. It's not where you can just say, hey, let's do a transfer this month. Okay. There's just so much more. It just takes longer. So if there is endometriosis present in your tubes and they're blocked, that can be a toxic environment for implantation, and so they would want to surgically remove any tubes that were filled with endometriosis. So I am praying and hopeful, because pregnancy and nursing are actually really helpful to pull down that endo, and so I am hoping that I'm actually going to be pretty clear, is the hope. Now there's 2 more tests that they were talking about doing before we would do a transfer. Something called a BCL6, which is a biopsy of your uterus to check if there is inflammation, and that would be an indicator that maybe there's some endometriosis going on that would make it a toxic environment in the uterus. Now, this is me brainstorming with you guys and talking with you as though I am sitting here with my friend that's listening and curious on what to do. There's just sometimes in my gut where I feel like, okay, this is my body and my story, and versus the run-of-the-mill, here's the conveyor belt, this is all the things that we do for everybody. And I don't know, I'm just torn with, if they do find that there's some inflammation going on, they would want to put me on Lupron for 3 months, which pretty much puts you into menopause for 3 months, and then you go off of it, and then you are hopefully cleared of your endometriosis, and then they would do a transfer after that. I don't know if I would want to do that. I don't know if I would be willing to put that Lupron in my body if I don't have to. I don't know. Right now, I am just processing and talking with you, but I don't have to worry about it until 9 days from now. They would schedule it about 10 days after you ovulate. So now that I've had an LH surge, I have to call them and figure out if I'm going to schedule that or not. And it's about $1,000. So every time you do these little biopsies, these little tests, it just adds up. And just trying to figure out what's best, but you also don't want to be silly and do a transfer when you could have better conditions for the transfer. So, anywho, I am proud of any of you who are still sitting tight, and I hope you have gotten a snack and something to drink and are enjoying my long-winded update, but there's a lot going into this, and there's a lot to think about when you go through infertility. It's not simple and easy, and there's a lot of moving parts, and I feel like you have to get pretty organized, and it's a lot. Okay, so the BCL6 is a biopsy. The last thing that they were talking about is doing an ERA test. So the ERA test is testing the embryo receptivity to your uterus, that what is the chances of it holding on and clinging on with the level of your progesterone that it's at during that time of your cycle. So when you are doing progesterone injections, do you need an extra 12 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours being on progesterone before they do a transfer? Now, my old clinic was very much, I asked them about an ERA test and they said, you're getting pregnant each time. We were always having a implantation other than the first transfer. It was just a matter of most likely having genetically abnormal embryos that we were not staying pregnant. But the new doctor here was talking about how miscarriages can be associated to not doing the transfer at a specific spot, so the ERA test is helpful for that. I was under the impression that the ERA test was good if you were not getting pregnant because it was not implanting at the right time. So there's a lot to think about. Every time you do a test, it's a lot of expense, and it is more information that could be good. I would be doing medication again, so I would be paying for all the medication that I would be doing for transfer, which adds up, and then we would be doing a biopsy, and then that cycle is nil, and you wouldn't be doing a transfer, and you would be waiting possibly the next cycle. I'm not sure if it would maybe be 2 cycles, not quite sure. So let's see, let's find a new spot. Oh my gosh, okay, I almost forgot a big huge test that I did already have done. So I had blood work done, and I got my hormones checked right at the beginning of my cycle. Oh, who's here? Hi, Papa. So I had my hormones checked right at the beginning of my cycle. I had my thyroid checked, including the antibodies to see if I possibly had Hashimoto's. I have a lot of thyroid symptoms. My thyroid always comes back normal. So I figured, oh my gosh, I'd never have checked for Hashimoto's. My cousin has it. And so I was wondering, oh my gosh, I probably do, which means that your body's attacking your thyroid. Well, that came back normal. I'm still shocked, but I did have them check my vitamin D level, and it is low. A low vitamin D can be a lot of symptoms, including fatigue. So I am going to be cranking up the vitamin D level and being outside as much as possible to try to crank that back up. Vitamin D is so important for your health, for not getting sick, and it is actually correlated to having good success rates with fertility, is having good vitamin D levels, which is very interesting. So we're gonna be cranking up some vitamin D, but my hormones were fine, my thyroid was fine. Okay, so that is all of the results, all of the questions, all of the things that are going on in our brain right now. And if you guys have any questions, because comments are back, you can leave it in the comments below. And I'm gonna be doing a ton of videos on this journey. I have to admit to you guys, I got a little lost. I got lost in what I wanted to be sharing about. And for a little while over the last couple years, I wanted to forget about infertility, to be totally honest. I was just so tired of so many years of thinking about it, and I was just kind of tired of sharing. And we had a lot going on with our family, and a lot of you came along on the journey with our youngest, and she had open heart surgery almost a year ago, and it's been a long year. But my big passion is for people to not feel alone in this journey, because now that we're jumping back into it, my reminder is how much it stinks and how lonely it is and how you feel isolated and how you feel like you're the only one. And this is what I want to do. I want to encourage others, and encourage others when you're going through a hard time. Because Philip and I, he always says, don't call yourself an expert, but I feel like we're an expert in staying positive through adversity. And I want to encourage you guys that you can live your life the same way. And we have a lot of experiences that have added tools to our tool belt of how we are able to keep a smile on our face and stay hopeful and all the things. So anyways, this video is all our update of where we are at, where we are going over the next, I would say, month or two. It's going to be a lot of tests, hopefully. I'm laughing saying it. Hopefully a surgery for Philip, and kind of cranking through these appointments because I'm ready for that transfer to get to our embryo that has been waiting for us. And to us, that is our family member, and we are going to give them a chance. And I'm ready to give them that chance. Now the last decision we have to make is what doctor. So we met a doctor here, and he's great. I'm used to definitely seeing a female, so I'm contemplating going to a female doctor. I really want to keep my doctor back in California, and I could actually be monitored at this clinic and have my doctor do all the doctor things, but my doctor would have to also do the transfer. And I don't think that she's necessarily willing to fly out to Nashville to do a transfer, even though we are able to keep our embryos at Ovation. So Ovation is our lab and just very awesome embryologists, and so we are happy to stay within the Ovation family. We just have to have a good doctor team to work with our embryo team. So here I'm sitting also talking to you, probably on a very long video, of do we keep our doctor in California and figure that out, or are open and willing to find another team. The team we're seeing right now is I don't need someone to hold my hand as much as I used to. It's very emotional, so finding someone that can emotionally support you and is very good at their job is a win-win. That's why we are obsessed with our doctor back in California. Amazing rates, amazing success rates, amazing bedside manner, better than any fertility doctor I've ever encountered. So that's hard to miss. But when you go to a clinic that is very conveyor belt, kind of going down the run-of-the-mill, doesn't feel quite as patient specific, I don't know. So right now we're in just a season of figuring it all out, and we've got a lot going on this next couple of months. So if you guys don't want to miss our fertility journey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because we've got a lot coming and I've got a lot to share with you. I have a ovulation stick reading video that is going to be coming out. I go through the last handful of days going into the next couple of days of reading ovulation sticks and exactly where you might be going wrong. So keep an eye out for that. And Philip will be going to the urologist, and we will be having a big discussion on that coming up soon. So if anybody experiences male factor infertility or knows somebody that is going through that, this is going to be an educational video on that road of infertility, which is about half. 40% male factor, 40% female factor, 20% male and female factor. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging in there all the way to the end of this video. If you guys hung in there all the way to the end of this video, let's do some kind of plant emoji, something that's green or flowers or outside or sun or pretty, just anything nature. Nature makes me happy. That's why I am loving the change of seasons, that I can be outside and filming a video without dripping sweat. It's really nice. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in our next video. Go let your love multiply. Bye guys.